When did you realize the person preaching financial integrity was a fraud? I just found out that Michael, the man I've been living with and supporting for 2 years 8 months, the man who lectures people on financial integrity every Tuesday night at our ministry, is officially facing fraud charges and tested positive for literal cocaine during a volunteer background check. And I am currently sitting in the tiny, cramped utility closet off the main altar hall at the Pillar of Light Ministry, typing this on my cracked iPhone 14 screen, trying not to hyperventilate. I don't even know where to start with this dumpster fire, but I know if I don't vent this to the internet right now, I'm going to lose it. I'm Ethan Choi, 54M, and yeah, my job title is Separation Phase Navigator. Irony is officially dead. I help people untangle their lives after divorces or major breakups. I literally teach seminars on spotting financial red flags. Past me was such an idiot, seriously. The flags were not just red, they were waving right in my face like the finish line flag at a Formula 1 race, and I still drove right off the cliff. Michael 55M was a big deal here. He's the elder of finance at the Pillar of Light. It's not some tiny storefront operation either. This is a huge complex, maybe $20 million in assets, all that stained glass and polished marble, 5th floor offices, mandatory suits for leadership. Michael was practically running the place under Pastor David. He was charming, smooth, wore bespoke suits, and had this air of absolute unquestionable stability. He drove a slightly beat-up but still imposing 2018 BMW 5 Series, which he constantly complained about the maintenance on. Should have been the first clue, honestly. If you can't maintain the BMW, maybe don't buy the BMW. We met here. I got really involved after my own divorce 5 years ago. I was looking for community, stability, structure. Michael offered that wrapped up neatly in Bible verses and seemingly sound investment advice. We moved in together exactly 32 months ago into apartment 3B, a beautiful place where the rent, $1,247 a month, was supposed to be split down the middle. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The financial abuse wasn't a sudden collapse, it was death by 1,000 Zelle transactions. It started small. He kept saying his salary from the ministry was delayed, or that some investment property he managed was having liquidity issues. I believed him because, hello, he's the elder of finance. He had the title, the suit, the confidence. He even had a little plaque on his desk that said, "Integrity is non-negotiable." I want to scream laugh just thinking about that plaque. I covered the $43.67 grocery bill at Trader Joe's. I paid the $85 plumber charge when the drain clogged last month. I spotted him the $347 bill for the new tires on his BMW. Every time he promised to pay me back by the end of the week when the ministry funds clear. He never did, then it escalated. He needed access to my accounts. He said since I was traveling for my Separation Phase Navigator conferences all the time, he needed power of attorney for banking just in case of an emergency, or to pay the $1,247 rent on time if I was out of cell service. I know, red flag, but he presented it with laminated forms and legal jargon, and I trusted him. I trusted the suit and the position. Last month, I started noticing things that really didn't add up. My PTO hours report at work showed I only had 14 hours left, but I hadn't taken a real vacation since 2021. The math wasn't mathing, you know. Then came the Venmo notifications. He was sending large amounts to people I didn't know, followed almost immediately by $200 withdrawals from our joint savings, which, let's be real, was 90% my savings inherited from my mother. I brought it up on a Saturday morning while we were having Starbucks coffee, venti latte for me, Black Pike Place for him naturally. Hey, I saw a few large Venmo transactions last week, Michael. Who is Sunshine44, Michael? Did the thing where he gets overly casual, leaning back in the chair, sipping his coffee. Oh, that? Just some charity stuff, honey. You know how it is. Tax-deductible expenses. You don't need to worry your pretty little head about the administrative logistics. But it was $500 and it was taken out of the main joint account. Michael puts his hand over mine, that sickeningly paternal gaslighting move. Ethan, I handle the money here. That's my responsibility. You focus on your important work, your seminars. I handle the logistics. Trust me. After all I've done for you, you're questioning me over $500. I backed down like I always did. The "after all I've done for you" phrase was his signature move, the verbal equivalent of a financial chokehold. I tried to talk to my friends, but it was hard. Our core friend group is all intertwined with the ministry. There's Susan Thomas, 51F, bless her heart. She's totally immersed in her essential oils MLM, constantly talking about financial freedom while wearing way too much foundation. If she sees a problem, she just tries to sell you a product to fix it. I ran into her on Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. during my quick Costco run. Susan, Ethan, you look stressed, hun. Are you finding your inner abundance? Because I have this new roller blend, Prosperity Potion, only $49.99, that really helps align your financial chakras. Michael told me you guys are having a few little budget hiccups. Budget hiccups. He told her we were having budget hiccups. I just smiled and nodded and shoved a massive bag of frozen chicken nuggets into my cart, desperately needing the comfort food. I couldn't tell her the truth yet. The embarrassment was too much. Then there's Rose Robinson, 66F. She's a sweet, beautiful disaster of a human being, a classic helicopter parent to her grown children, one of whom is 40 and still calls her 7 times a day. She is deeply conservative and lives and breathes the ministry structure. I knew if I told Rose, she would immediately involve Pastor David and somehow also manage to blame me for not being submissive enough to Michael's leadership. Rose is intense. I love her, but she's the type who thinks the security deposit needs 60 days notice even if the house is burning down. The only people I felt safe with were Isabella Martinez, 60F, and Sarah Martin, 48F. Isabella, I call her the Disney dad because she's just pure, uncomplicated joy. She brings the snacks, the positivity, and the brutal honesty, usually in that order. Sarah, well, Sarah is the white dress wearer. She's the head of the ministry's purity and marriage committee. She literally only wears white linen dresses no matter the season. Everyone treats her like she's this fragile saint, but underneath all that linen is a steel core. Sarah and Isabella have been my secret lifeline lately. The real break happened last Friday. I was working from home trying to get through a backlog of Teams messages. My inbox was at 247, seriously. Michael was at a supposed all-day board meeting downtown. My AirPods were in listening to a crime junkie podcast when my phone battery, which is usually excellent, I keep it between 80% and 100%, suddenly dropped from 65% to 3% in about 3 minutes. I plugged it in, but the screen kept flashing, showing notifications that I couldn't clear. I clicked on my bank app just to check the balance because I had to pay my Hulu and Disney Plus auto-pay subscriptions that day. The joint savings account, $43.67. The last time I checked, it had nearly $18,000 in it. I felt my stomach drop not just to the floor but through the floor and into the earth's core. My hands started shaking so violently I couldn't hold the phone properly. I refreshed the screen, $43.67. I clicked the transaction history. There were hundreds of small, untraceable Cash App transactions and then 4 massive Zelle transfers all listed under property management services, totaling over $17,000 spread out over the last 6 weeks. The date on the last one was Tuesday, just 3 days ago. I stumbled into the living room feeling dizzy, my vision blurry. I wanted to scream, but the neighbors in 3A are absolute nightmares and I didn't want the drama. Instead, I started pacing, racking up steps on my Apple Watch that definitely didn't count as exercise. I immediately tried to call Michael. No answer. His phone went straight to voicemail. I texted him, "Where are you? Call me now." No response. Read receipt was off. Typical when he was doing something shady. I didn't wait. I drove my beat-up 2018 Honda Civic straight to the ministry complex. It was 5:30 p.m. The evening services were starting soon. The parking lot was jammed. I found a space way out in spot 47, grabbed my phone and marched straight into Michael's 5th floor office. It was empty, desk neat, plaque shining. I felt a fresh wave of panic followed instantly by white-hot rage. I was done, just done. I had to know what property management services meant. I remembered he keeps a binder of all the ministry's financial documents locked in a safe behind a portrait of Pastor David. I know, cheesy. He once bragged about the safe's code being his first dog's name followed by his birth year. I tried it. Barnaby 1968. The safe clicked open. I saw stacks of folders, but one was labeled Pillar of Light Board Member Vetting M. Daniels. Michael's full name is Michael Daniels. I ripped it open. The background check report was thick. I flipped past the usual junk credit scores, criminal record checks, which were surprisingly clean. The fraud hadn't hit yet. Then I saw the page with the large red stamp across the top, failed. It wasn't even the financial details that hit me first. It was the tiny paragraph under substance screening results. Michael Daniels, age 55, result positive. Substance detected, cocaine metabolites. I actually gasped. It was a loud, ugly sound. Michael, the man who gave sermons on purity and sobriety, who constantly railed against worldly vices, who demanded I stop drinking Diet Coke because of the caffeine was doing blow, and failing background checks for it. I slammed the folder shut, my heart racing, feeling like I was going to throw up my breakfast leftover Chipotle from the night before. I shoved the report into my shoulder bag. I needed to leave, but I heard loud voices in the hall outside. It was Sarah Martin, 48F, white dress wearer, and Isabella Martinez, 60F, Disney dad. "Sarah, I'm telling you, Isabella, the situation with Elder Daniels is reaching catastrophic levels. His assistant told me he hasn't returned any of the ministry's treasury calls today. 27 calls in 1 hour, Isabella." Isabella, "Oh honey, that man is a mess. I told you, anyone who claims their $1,200 suit is an investment in integrity is hiding something. Did you see the look on Pastor David's face this afternoon? He looked like he ate a lemon." "Sarah, it's worse than that. The board just had an emergency session. A major donor, a huge one, the one funding the new youth center, just pulled out because Michael was trying to reroute $50,000 of their contribution through his personal property management services LLC. I froze. I was standing maybe 3 feet from the door. My personal fraud, my $17,000, was apparently just the opening act for a much larger ministry-wide catastrophe. Everything finally clicked. The reason Michael was so stressed, the vague answers, the constant need for liquidity. He wasn't just stealing from me, he was leveraging his position to steal from God, or at least from the nonprofit organization that claimed to represent him. I backed up, silently opening the utility closet door next to Michael's private restroom and slipped inside, pulling the door closed just as Sarah and Isabella rounded the corner. I heard them perfectly, their voices muffled but clear. "Isabella, so where is he now, Sarah? Did they find him?" Sarah. Her voice was low, and even through the closet door I could feel the steel in her voice, that absolute lack of patience that never shows when she's wearing white linen. "He skipped town, Isabella. But the worst part is what he left behind. Remember how he hired that ridiculously expensive consultant last month, the one who required cash payments? Well, the consultant just submitted his invoice for $15,000, but they found an anonymous tip on the pastor's Ring doorbell footage showing Michael sneaking out of his office last night with a duffel bag, and the consulting firm doesn't even exist, Isabella. It was a shell company. I looked up the EIN. It was registered to an address in West Virginia. Isabella, wait, was this before or after he had that big fight with Ethan on the phone yesterday?" "Sarah, I didn't know about a fight. But listen, the police are here. They are downstairs right now talking to Pastor David. They didn't come for the fraud though. They came because Michael's landlord called them. Apparently Michael didn't just owe rent on our apartment 3B, he was also using the ministry's address for 2 other properties he was renting under different names. And one of them, a rental unit, had a warrant out. Isabella, a warrant? What kind of warrant? Sarah, drug charges, Isabella. They found an unlicensed pharmacy operating out of one of his storage units. Fentanyl, oxy, the whole 9 yards. That board background check that Rose Robinson pushed through yesterday, it wasn't just checking his credit. Rose apparently had a gut feeling about him and forced the ministry to use an external agency. She knew something was off. Rose Robinson, 66F, the helicopter parent, the one who worries about PTO usage and makes sure her son calls her back immediately, somehow had better instincts than me, the professional separation phase navigator. I wanted to laugh hysterically. I looked at the crumpled drug test result in my sweaty hands. Cocaine metabolites, unlicensed pharmacy, fraudulent shell corporations. And I was married to this man's financial life for 2 years and 8 months. I sat down on a bucket of floor cleaner, texting furiously. I needed my Disney dad and my white dress warrior. Me to Isabella and Sarah group text. I'm in the utility closet 5th floor. I need you both. Now, bring that prosperity potion Susan keeps talking about because I'm broke and this is the opposite of abundant. I immediately got the typing bubble from Isabella. Isabella, girl, what the fuck? We are on the way. Give us 2 minutes. Sarah, typing speed of a machine gun. I saw your text. Do not come out of that closet. Do not speak to anyone. I repeat, do not speak. We are formulating a strategy. Stay hidden. The door to Michael's office creaked open. I held my breath. I could hear heavy footsteps. Police boots. Policeman 1. Yeah, nothing here but a safe and a messy desk. Looks like he cleared out the hard drives too. Policeman 2. Check the bathroom, Sarge, and the closet. He might be hiding on site. My heart hammered against my ribs. I heard the toilet flush in Michael's private office restroom. Then the doorknob of the utility closet started to turn. I covered my mouth, bracing myself to be discovered, covered in dust and holding a positive cocaine test report for the elder of finance. But before the door fully opened, I heard Isabella's voice, loud and cheerful, just outside. Isabella, oh, officers, thank goodness you're here. We just found a huge infestation of black mold in this area, and we need someone to document it before we bring in the hazmat team. It's right here in the utility closet. It's atrocious. The turning doorknob stopped. Policeman 1. Black mold, ma'am, we're not hazmat. We're investigating financial fraud. Isabella, but this is urgent. Look, oh my God, it's terrible in there. We need to close this door immediately. Sarah, get the police tape. I could hear Sarah in her calm, authoritative white dress wearer voice playing along perfectly. Sarah, officers, with all due respect, Elder Daniel's disappearance is already logged, but this mold is an immediate health hazard. We cannot have you exposed. Please step back and we will take care of securing this room for evidence of environmental damage. They hustled the officers away, I think. I heard their footsteps fade down the marble hall. I slowly exhaled, leaning against the cold wall. A moment later, the utility closet door opened again slowly. It wasn't Sarah or Isabella. It was Rose Robinson, 66F, the helicopter parent, standing there in a pristine lavender cardigan holding a manila folder. Her eyes were wide but focused. Rose, Ethan, thank God. I knew Michael was unstable, so I have been monitoring his accounts for the ministry. I pulled this from the payroll system this morning. I didn't want the others to see it yet. She thrust the folder into my hand. Inside was a single, official-looking document. It was a loan application for $75,000 listed as a home equity line of credit. The collateral listed was our apartment 3B, which we don't own, we only rent. But the name listed on the application for the primary borrower wasn't Michael Daniels, it was Ethan Choi, and the signature was perfect. A forgery. The loan was approved this morning at 9:00 a.m. Rose looked at me, her expression changing from fear to pure, utter determination. You have exactly 5 hours before the funds are transferred. We need to freeze everything, but Pastor David is in denial. He still thinks Michael is just stressed. You and I, Ethan, we're going to fix this. But first, you need to tell me who your lawyer is because the police are going to want to know why you have this. She pointed to the drug test results sticking out of my hand. I looked down. Not only was the drug test evidence that Michael was a high-functioning addict, but the last line of the drug test report, the final detail I missed, was the note from the lab tech. It said, subject admitted to taking a prescription painkiller oxycodone provided by his partner E. Choi the night before the test. I never gave him oxy. I don't even have oxy. But if that drug test report gets submitted to the police alongside the fraud and the actual pharmacy charges, I'm not just the victim of financial abuse anymore. I'm the accessory. I looked at Rose. I looked at the forged loan application that was about to bankrupt me. I looked back down at the lie printed in the ministry's official vetting file. Rose, Ethan, what is it? What did he do now? I just stood there speechless, my head spinning, thinking I'm not going to survive this unless I get a serious friend group upgrade. I heard Sarah and Isabella rushing back down the hall, calling my name. The footsteps of the police were getting closer again, coming up the stairs. I didn't answer Rose. I just shoved the loan application and the drug test deep into my bag. I had to get out of the ministry, but I couldn't go home. My heart was pounding so hard I thought the Ring doorbell would pick up the sound. This was officially no longer a separation phase. This was a war, and I had 5 hours. I just stood there speechless, my head spinning, thinking I'm not going to survive this unless I get a serious friend group upgrade. I heard Sarah and Isabella rushing back down the hall, calling my name. The footsteps of the police were getting closer again, coming up the stairs. I didn't answer Rose. I just shoved the loan application and the drug test deep into my bag. I had to get out of the ministry, but I couldn't go home. My heart was pounding so hard I thought the Ring doorbell would pick up the sound. This was officially no longer a separation phase. This was a war, and I had 5 hours. Okay, so I need to update you on what happened after that utility closet meltdown. You guys, the energy that came off those 3 women when they realized I was trapped and Michael had just tried to use me as a $75,000 human shield was something I've never experienced. It was the moment the friend group upgrade officially commenced. Rose, God bless her intense little heart, grabbed my arm. Ethan, we cannot stay here. You're looking for evidence, and you are currently holding evidence that incriminates both Michael and potentially you. Even if the oxycodone claim is a lie, we have to go. Now. Isabella burst back in, looking like she was ready to fight a bear, even though she was just holding a half-eaten bag of those ridiculously expensive dark chocolate almonds she loves. Get out of the closet, we are moving you out of the complex and into protective custody at my house. Sarah has the car running. Go, go, go. Sarah, still wearing that pristine white linen dress that somehow remained perfectly wrinkle-free through this entire financial and moral apocalypse, grabbed the back of Rose's lavender cardigan, physically pulling her. Sarah's voice was the calmest, which made her the scariest. We are going out the emergency service exit on B level. Rose, you are driving your Lexus and blocking the main staff parking entrance for exactly 3 minutes. You need to create a logistical disruption. Ethan, you get in Isabella's car. Do not stop. Do not look back. We are calling the bank immediately to freeze that LOC. The efficiency was breathtaking. It was like I was suddenly in a high-stakes heist movie, but the getaway driver was a 60-year-old woman with a Disney dad laugh, and the tactical genius was a 66-year-old grandmother who thought PTO hours were the height of workplace ethics. NGL, I followed every instruction without question. We got out of the ministry complex somehow. Rose managed to accidentally reverse her huge Lexus SUV into a recycling bin near the staff exit, creating the perfect 3-minute distraction. The security guard was too busy yelling about the bin to notice me running, nearly hyperventilating across the lot. I tumbled into Isabella's car, a slightly sticky but wonderfully reliable Subaru Outback. Isabella peeled out of there like she was trying to win the Daytona 500. Isabella driving one-handed while simultaneously opening a text message. Rose just confirmed the police are focusing on the security tapes and the mold situation. She called the pastor's assistant to confirm they are looking at the utility closet as a contaminated zone. Rose is brilliant, truly. She's saving your life, Emi. Gasping for air, holding the bag with the forged application. Rose, she's a genius. I thought she only worried about which organic vegetables her son was eating. Isabella, oh, she's a pain in the ass, yes, but she's also incredibly resourceful when she thinks the structural integrity of an institution is threatened. You are her current institution, honey. She is invested. Sarah is already making calls. Sarah called us 5 minutes later using the speakerphone because Isabella refused to stop driving fast enough to talk on the phone normally. Sarah, okay Ethan, listen, the 5-hour window is critical. I called my contact at Apex Bank. I didn't mention Michael. I said I was investigating suspicious identity theft involving a client and asked about the home equity line of credit application in your name. They confirmed the approval and the disbursement time. Me, can we freeze it? Sarah, not with the fraud claim yet. They need a police report, but I did something better. I told them that because you are traveling internationally on a long-term contract, the lie was easy. My conferences give me cover. You need to change the primary disbursement account to a newly established overseas holding trust, and that the physical in-person signature needs to be verified on file again before the transfer. Me, wait, does that buy me time? Sarah, it buys you 48 hours. They have to pull the original signature card and verify the physical signature again because of the sudden change in transfer location. The signature Michael forged is perfect, but I'm betting the ministry doesn't actually have a current certified physical signature card for you on file. They trust Michael too much. This creates procedural friction. I felt a sliver of hope, the first real one in days. Sarah, you are literally the smartest person I have ever met. Sarah, I wear the white dress to appear pure. Ethan, not to be naive. Get to Isabella's place. Pack a bag. Don't go back to the apartment. I will meet you there with the lawyer's number and a massive pizza. So 2 days later, I was holed up in Isabella's guest room, which smelled faintly of coconut and felt incredibly safe. Michael had been texting me nonstop for 48 hours, but only vague stuff. Michael, honey, where are you? The ministry is looking for me. I need you to confirm my travel plans for the board. Please call. He never said which travel plans. Michael, I know you're upset about the money, but we can fix this. It's a communication issue, not a trust issue. Call me back. It was literally a crime issue, Michael. I had blocked him on text after I showed the messages to Sarah. Sarah, Isabella, and Rose. Yes, Rose was invited and brought a surprisingly good bottle of organic red wine. Held an Intervention War Council meeting in Isabella's kitchen that night. We ordered that massive pizza Sarah promised deep dish because we needed substance. Rose was still shaken but determined. We need to address the drug test first, Ethan. That single line about the oxycodone linking you to illegal distribution is his insurance policy. If he goes down, he wants to take you down too. Isabella was furiously taking notes on a pink notepad. So what are the facts? Did you ever take oxycodone? Did you ever buy any kind of controlled substance? Me, no, absolutely not. I have my own prescriptions, but nothing like that. The only things I take are metformin for my prediabetes and the occasional Zeotech. Sarah, the lawyer needs to establish the pattern of forgery immediately. We also need a paper trail showing Michael's access to your personal effects. Do you remember when he lost his wallet last year and you let him keep your spare key to your home office safe where you keep old documents? I froze. Yeah, he said he needed to borrow my spare passport scan for his ministry travel application, which was due that week. I gave him the key. Sarah pointed a finger at me. That's it. That's how he got the perfect signature copy for the loan. He had access to your previous tax returns, your old checks, the documents where you sign full legal signatures, not just the quick scribble you use every day. He practiced. The lawyer will love that. The plan was brutal, fast, and expensive. Sarah had found me a fantastic lawyer, a specialist in white-collar fraud and separation from abusive financial partners. I know the irony of using my own job expertise against myself was not lost on me. The initial retainer was $5,000, which after Michael drained my accounts, I absolutely did not have. This is where the friend group upgrade truly shined. Isabella, without hesitation, pulled out her checkbook. I am lending you $2,000. Pay me back when you get on your feet. No interest, no pressure. You need a lawyer now. Rose, still thinking institutionally, said, I have access to my husband's emergency funds. I can provide the other $3,000, but it needs to be documented as an investment in correcting a potential scandal for the Pillar of Light Ministry, which it is. I will cut the check from my personal trust account and you pay me back as soon as you settle with the bank. I felt tears burn behind my eyes. These people who were financially secure but definitely not reckless were literally betting $5,000 on me, a man hiding from the police in a coconut-scented guest room. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. Sarah, stop thanking us and start strategizing. We are going to the bank tomorrow morning. They need the signature verification, right? We are going to make sure that verification fails spectacularly. Fast forward to Friday morning. I was running on pure adrenaline and 4 cups of Isabella's strong Cuban coffee. I had been practicing my signature on a million sticky notes, focusing on the differences between the perfect forged signature Michael used on the loan and my current slightly rushed signature. Sarah, in a crisp white pantsuit, a subtle but powerful deviation from the dress, drove me to Apex Bank downtown. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Ms. Alvarez, met us in the lobby. The appointment with the loan officer, a nervous guy named Trevor, was tense. Ms. Alvarez, Mr. Choi is here today to verify the signature required for the revised disbursement details on the line of credit approved Tuesday. Mr. Choi is now ready to sign the verification card. Trevor pulled out the original application, laminated, and slid it across the table. The forged signature, Ethan Choi, was flawless. It looked exactly like I signed my mortgage closing documents 10 years ago. Then Trevor put the verification card in front of me and handed me a pen. This was the plan. I was supposed to sign it differently. Not obviously, but enough for the bank's internal system to flag the inconsistency, triggering the investigation that would finally freeze the funds. I took the pen. My hand was shaking. I looked at the forged signature again. Michael had even gotten the slight upward tilt of the H right. Then I remembered what Rose said in the closet, the oxycodone lie, the sheer calculated malice of Michael trying to take me down with him. The fact that he saw me, a man who helped people navigate separation, as nothing more than an asset to be drained and then scapegoated. I signed the verification card, but I didn't just sign it differently. I signed it with my full legal signature, then I drew a tiny, barely perceptible cartoon penis next to it. The pen slipped out of my hand. Trevor looked at the signature, then back at me, his eyes wide. Ms. Alvarez cleared her throat, a sound like a gavel hitting wood. Mr. Choi, is there a problem with the signature? I leaned back, trying to look professional, which was difficult because I was wearing borrowed clothes from Isabella. No problem at all, Ms. Alvarez. That is my signature, but as you know, I am currently navigating a very high-stress situation involving fraud, identity theft, and potential drug charges being leveled against me by my former partner, who is now being sought by the police for major ministry-related embezzlement. If that signature verifies as matching the one on file from Tuesday, I want to confirm that I will be initiating a full formal complaint with the FDIC regarding the bank's negligence in verifying my identity before approving a $75,000 line of credit. I had never spoken to a bank representative like that in my life. The shame I felt earlier was completely burned away by determination. Trevor, bless his poor, overworked soul, looked terrified. He immediately took the card and rushed it to his supervisor. Ms. Alvarez smiled, a tiny, predatory expression. Excellent, Ethan. The minute they find the discrepancy, which they will because your slight addition of unauthorized cartoon imagery definitely does not match the original application, they will freeze the transaction pending investigation. We just bought ourselves time. I can't believe I just drew a penis on a bank document. Sarah, who had been standing guard silently near the water cooler, walked over smiling. It's a perfect visual representation of how Michael treated your finances, Ethan. It's symbolic. Now let's go file the police report. So that day was a blur. We filed the police report. Ms. Alvarez was masterful, meticulously detailing every Zelle transaction, every Venmo payment, every forged document, and crucially, providing the evidence that Michael had access to my old signed documents. The loan funds were officially frozen by 3:00 p.m. Victory, small, agonizing, temporary victory. The hardest part was the police asking about the drug test. They were already aware of the search warrants related to Michael's 2 other properties, the unlicensed pharmacy and the fact that he was officially missing. I showed them the report, highlighting the line, subject admitted to taking a prescription painkiller, oxycodone, provided by his partner, E. Choi. Ms. Alvarez intervened instantly. My client strongly denies this. We believe this is a classic example of deflection and attempted coercion by the subject, Michael Daniels, who has established a clear pattern of financial and personal abuse against my client. She handed them 2 documents. One was my recent blood work from my physical showing no illegal substances, and the other was a sworn statement from the pharmacy detailing every prescription I had filled in the last 3 years, Zeotech, metformin, and occasionally antibiotics. The police officer looked skeptical, but Ms. Alvarez was good. She made it clear that if they pressed the charge based solely on the word of a fugitive elder of finance who tested positive for cocaine, they would face massive procedural issues. They noted the denial, but they didn't push it. I was still terrified, though. The threat was still hanging over my head. A week went by where I was essentially living a fugitive life at Isabella's house. Sarah helped me change all my passwords, close the joint checking account, leaving Michael exactly $43.67, the amount that was left, and switch utilities and lease details over to my name only. This logistical nightmare was actually helpful. It kept me busy. I stopped stress eating frozen chicken nuggets and started eating healthy, mostly because Rose started showing up with organic meal prep kits, convinced that if I didn't eat enough kale, I wouldn't have the mental fortitude to face Michael in court. The drama at the ministry reached terminal velocity. Pastor David finally had to admit Michael was gone, though he kept calling it a medical leave of absence due to severe stress and unwarranted accusations. NGL, the cognitive dissonance there was astounding. Susan Thomas, the MLM hun, proved herself to be the weakest link in the ministry circle. She butt-dialed me on Tuesday and I heard her gossiping with someone else. Susan on butt-dial. Honestly, I think Ethan just couldn't handle Michael's level of financial acumen. I bet he drove Michael away with his negativity. I have this roller blend emotional balance, only $69.99 that I really wish I could sell to Ethan, but he's so negative now. He hasn't even responded to my texts about achieving inner abundance. I quietly hung up. I realized that Susan wasn't malicious, just fundamentally incapable of seeing reality if it didn't fit her MLM narrative of effortless financial freedom. The friend group upgrade meant cutting the dead weight. No more Susan. 3 days after that, the inevitable happened. Michael came back. He didn't come back to the ministry or our apartment. He came back to Isabella's house, which thank God had a very large gate and a Ring camera. I was working from Isabella's desk. I had to get back to my job as a separation phase navigator, which was now deeply awkward when I got a notification on my phone. Ring notification, person at front gate. I clicked the live view. It was Michael. He looked terrible. His bespoke suit was rumpled, he hadn't shaved, and he was holding a sad little bouquet of those generic grocery store flowers. He looked like a damp golden retriever. He pressed the intercom. His voice crackled. "Ethan, I know you're in there. Please let me in. We need to talk. I can explain everything. This is all a huge misunderstanding. I love you." I felt my stomach churn. The "I love you" was his final, weakest card. It used to work every time. I muted the microphone so he couldn't hear me. Isabella came rushing in holding a wooden spoon like a weapon. "Isabella, oh look at that pathetic creature. Should I call the police?" "Me, no, not yet. I need to do this. I need to end this completely and I need to see him squirm." I unmuted the microphone. My voice surprisingly was steady. "Me, Michael, what do you want?" Michael, sounding dramatic. "I want to apologize. I made a mistake, a massive error in judgment. I was under so much stress. The ministry was demanding too much. The $17,000, Ethan, I was just trying to double it for us. The property management LLC was legitimate, but I made a clerical error. I was going to pay you back." "Me, you were going to pay me back with a $75,000 fraudulent loan taken out in my name. You were going to leave me with a felony accessory charge for oxycodone distribution. You lied about your cocaine usage, you lied about the ministry finances, and you lied about who you were. You never saw me as a partner, Michael. I was an asset, a disposable source of capital." Michael's voice got suddenly sharp, dropping the pathetic act. "You don't understand the pressure I was under. The board was breathing down my neck. And don't act like you're perfect, Ethan. You knew about my eccentricities. You enabled me." "Me, no, I trusted you. That's not enabling. That's being abused by someone who had the power of position and title, and I am done being the victim." I took a deep breath. This was the most terrifying moment because I was delivering the final judgment. "Me, the loan is frozen, Michael. Your accounts are empty. I changed the locks on apartment 3B and the lease is now solely in my name. The police have my statement and my lawyer has submitted the evidence of forgery. You have until the end of the day to turn yourself in or Ms. Alvarez will file the official complaint with the district attorney's office regarding the attempted identity theft. Don't call me again. Don't text me again. I am done." I cut the feed. I watched him stand there for a full 30 seconds, the sad grocery store flowers drooping in his hand. He looked defeated, small, and utterly unremarkable without his suit and his confidence. Then he turned and walked away. Isabella hugged me instantly. "You handled that like a boss, separation phase navigator indeed." I leaned against her, shaking again. "I am still terrified, Isabella, but I did it. I finally stood up to him." Update: this morning, Michael was arrested in a cheap motel outside of Richmond, Virginia. He was trying to catch a bus heading south. Apparently, the police traced the IP address from one of the frustrated texts he sent me last night. I didn't even respond to it, but it was enough. The news broke on the local news channels. Elder of finance caught in massive fraud and drug scandal. The ministry is in absolute chaos. Pastor David is doing damage control, claiming they had no idea about the scope of the problem, but Rose is strategically leaking internal audit notes to the press that show she had warned them repeatedly about Michael's suspicious expenses for over a year. Rose is now the hero of the ministry, the one who saw through the veil. She is suddenly fielding calls from national media. It's glorious. My credit score took a massive hit from the frozen LOC application, and dealing with that and the bank will take months, maybe years, to fully correct. But I got my $17,000 back. The bank's fraud department determined that Michael was using a long-forgotten business account of mine that he found details for, and since the transactions were clearly tied to his shell company, they reversed the charges. It felt like finding buried treasure. Sarah helped me change the locks, deep clean the apartment, and remove every single trace of Michael. She even helped me haul his hideous 80-pound antique globe, a gift from Pastor David, down 4 flights of stairs and donate it to a thrift store. Sarah, he never appreciated anything, Ethan. This globe is better off with someone who will actually dust it. We kept finding small, mundane evidence of his deception. A hidden prepaid burner phone in his sock drawer, receipts for very expensive dinners I didn't attend, a tiny Ziploc baggie with white powder residue tucked into a rarely used copy of the King James Bible. I wish I was joking about that last one. The messy part is still messy. I had to face the ministry community. I had to go back to work and teach a seminar on spotting financial red flags with a straight face. The first time I went back to the Pillar of Light, it was for a meeting with Pastor David, Ms. Alvarez, and Rose. Pastor David was still in denial, focused on forgiveness and redemption, insisting Michael just needs therapy. Rose, however, was having none of it. She had undergone a radical character development, swapping her helicopter parent energy for something akin to a financial accountability warrior. Rose, Pastor Michael Daniels attempted to commit identity theft against Ethan, leveraged the ministry's reputation to commit felony fraud, and brought drug charges into our complex. Your focus needs to be on protecting the remaining assets and the victims, not his soul. His soul is between him and God. His illegal activity is between him and the state of Virginia. I was so proud of Rose, I almost hugged her. I'm currently still living in apartment 3B, which feels weirdly empty and huge now. I started paying the full $1,247 rent myself. It's tight. I'm eating ramen and budgeting carefully, but the silence in the apartment is worth more than gold. I can leave the lights on when I want to. I don't have to check the joint account balance 10 times a day. My separation phase navigation business is surprisingly booming. My new elevator pitches, I literally just survived the worst financial abuse scenario possible involving cocaine and a fraudulent religious leader. I know what I am talking about. People are listening. I still have bad days. Yesterday I was unpacking boxes and found one of Michael's old, crisp white dress shirts. I just started crying ugly, loud, ridiculous tears. It wasn't because I missed him. It was because I missed the man I thought he was. I cried for the time, the trust, and the $4,000 I still haven't accounted for and probably never will. I texted Sarah saying I was having a meltdown. She responded instantly, "Sarah, get off the floor, I'm bringing takeout. We are going to burn that shirt and then we are going to watch a terrible romantic comedy where the heroine realizes she's better off single." And she did. We burned the shirt in Isabella's fire pit. Isabella provided s'mores. The friend group is solid. Isabella, Sarah, and Rose. We meet every Sunday now, not for ministry services but for brunch at a local diner, talking about everything but the ministry. We talk about Sarah's complicated divorce years ago. It turns out the white dresses are her armor, Isabella's hilarious dating life, and Rose's plans to start an independent financial watchdog group for nonprofits. I realized I'd been ignoring red flags for months, not just in Michael but in my social life too. I was surrounding myself with people who validated Michael's stability, the ministry structure, the people who saw him as the elder of finance, and I pushed away the people who were truly stable and strong in their own right, like Sarah and Isabella, just because their lives didn't fit the ministry's narrow definition of perfect. The embarrassment is still there sometimes. I'm a professional who helps people untangle these exact messes, and I got tangled so badly I almost lost my house and faced criminal charges. That shame is a heavy weight. But yesterday I was teaching a seminar and a woman raised her hand and said, "What if you realize you are the one who messed up? What if you feel ashamed that you didn't leave sooner?" I didn't use any of my polished textbook separation phase navigator advice. I just told her my story briefly and honestly. You didn't mess up, you were targeted. The shame isn't yours to carry. The only thing you can do is change the narrative. Start building a support system that sees you, not the mistake you made, and then get a really good lawyer. It felt right, it felt real. I'm still navigating the separation phase, but this time it's not just separating from Michael. It's separating from the toxic beliefs and misplaced trust that led me there. My small victory today, I finally changed the Netflix password. Petty? Yes. Satisfying? Also yes. Michael is probably still trying to figure out why his profile won't load the crown. I'm eating ramen every day but sleeping peacefully, so worth it. We'll update if Michael manages to but dial me from jail, but TBH, I hope this is the final chapter of that dumpster fire. Thanks for letting me vent. Seriously.